We have all tried to moonwalk at least one time in our lives. I was trying at my grandmother's house growing up. I thought I've seen some great moonwalks in my life. Of course, none better than Michael Jackson's moonwalk. But at my screening of Michael last night, at an AMC here in South Florida, there was one dude, shout out to you, I wish I could have recorded it, but they took our phones. He moonwalked so gracefully, near perfectly, on those crusty movie theater carpets. How did he do that? I don't know how he did it. He did that, and I literally almost cried. It was beautiful. But anyway, we're here today to talk about the Michael movie. Now, I dropped my out-of-theater reaction last night, and I promised you this week I'd be giving you my full thoughts. So, yeah, I've got some thoughts. Some that are really good, and some that are bad. That was also another Michael Jackson pun. Okay, I'm going to stop with those. Let's get into my review. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today, yes, we're talking all about Michael, maybe part 1 of 2. I'll talk more about that later, but thank you to Lionsgate for giving me the chance to watch this at my local AMC theater in IMAX Digital. Now, listen here, you guys. Seeing this movie in IMAX is probably the preferred way to view this. I mean, it is just visually stunning in the concert moments. And the audio is great. Thank God I brought my earplugs because I was right next to a speaker and that bass was bassing. But y'all, this movie is it's interesting, right? We're going to get into it. But before we do that, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and yes, all the news in between. So if you do too, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, join the Real family on the way to 40,000 subscribers, guys. We're so close. And if you haven't already, like this video so other Michael Jackson fans can watch it, and get loud in the comments below. Let me know, what is your favorite Michael Jackson album? Can you guess what mine is? It's in the background. Now, if you don't know much about this movie, Michael releases in theaters April 24th, and it's rated PG-13. It has a runtime of about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours long. It didn't really feel like 2 hours, which is actually not a bad thing, but maybe that's because I was so into the concert and live performance moments. The cast is stacked, though. We have it led by, of course, Jaafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, who plays Michael Jackson in the movie, Colman Domingo, who plays Joseph Jackson, and Nia Long, who plays Michael Jackson's mother, Katherine Jackson. The film is directed by Antoine Fuqua, who already has a name for himself, of course, in Hollywood, has directed some incredible films like Training Day. But I was hopeful for how he would direct the concert moments in this movie because he really did get his start directing a lot of music videos. And usually music video directors kind of know their way around the artistry of live performances or performances on camera. Now, the story itself is not necessarily too complex. Of course, it begins with young Michael during his rise to stardom as a member and leading man of the Jackson 5. Eventually, we get, young adult Michael and then Michael Jackson in his teens and his 20s and stuff like that, basically leading into his solo career. And, we're kind of rounding it out with Bad, right? So he does a lot of heavy lifting in this movie, he meaning Jaafar Jackson. And I guess this is really where we're going to get into the positives because, yes, there are some things about this movie that I took away from and I thought, man, they did this very, very well. And it really was always going to live or die on Jaafar Jackson's performance. If he gave a bad performance, this movie would literally be pretty terrible because he does probably the heaviest lifting in this movie. He's so believable as Michael Jackson. He embodies this character, or I should say he embodies the artist while he's playing Michael Jackson in this film. He has got the mannerisms down. He's got the voice down. He's got the vocals down. I mean, the vocals come through vocals because, man, he was incredible when he was singing as Michael Jackson. I can't tell you enough how Jaafar Jackson, if this was the role for him that was like, oh, this is the role of a lifetime, he nailed it. He did a very good job, especially with the dancing, and it just all really worked for me. So if you're just grading this movie based on his performance, it has to be an A+. But remember, the film doesn't start with Jaafar Jackson. It actually begins with actor Giuliano Valdi as young Michael. And he's a scene stealer for me. I mean, I'll be honest, Jaafar Jackson gives a great performance. I don't want to rank them against each other, but if you told me, hey, choose who had the better performance from a movie standpoint, Giuliano had a better performance. He was very believable as young Michael. He was crying on cue. He was delivering the emotion that I was hoping the rest of this film really would have more of. And he did a great job performing, singing, dancing. Like, I thought he did great. So Giuliano Valdi, for me, was definitely a standout here. I don't know if it'll be anyone else's standout. I think the consensus will be Jaafar Jackson is the best actor in this film. But I think it is Giuliano Valdi for me. And very early on, we understand that Colman Domingo as Joseph Jackson, of course, the Jackson's father, he was going to be a central figure in this film. And sometimes he's actually centered in this movie more than I anticipated he would be, but I think that's because Antoine Fuqua, the writer, and everyone involved was trying to use him as the vehicle for the drama in the film. Did they do that well? Not really, but I do know why they centered him as much as they did. I don't think it'll turn anyone off, honestly. He does a great job. Colman Domingo really does a very, very good job in this movie. He helps elevate the film at times, and that's just because Colman Domingo has a gravitas to the way he performs. You just can't really take your eyes off of him. He is somebody who carries himself very well on screen, but we know this. Colman Domingo should have already won an Academy Award by now, and he's overdue for one at this point. I love him as an actor. He's one of my favorites in Hollywood. So when I saw he got cast as Joseph Jackson, I knew he would deliver it. And he did. There was some stuff left in the tank, I think, but more on that in the negatives. Now, there is another actress who usually plays across from him, and that is Nia Long, who is a legend. We know this, but Nia Long plays Katherine Jackson. And Nia Long is somebody who I feel could have had more to deliver in this film, because when she was given her moment, she stole it. Like, she just took that thing and ran with it, because I felt she did a very good job in that scene. I can't really say which scene it is, I guess, but I thought that Nia Long, again, the script didn't necessarily give her a lot to chew on. Man, I got to be careful. I'm not in the negatives yet, but I think Nia Long is just like Colman Domingo in the sense that there was something left in the tank. Now, when it comes to the concert moments, when it comes to the recording in the studio, those moments were, in my opinion, the best moments of this film. I was not concerned of whether or not they would accomplish the task of making his live performances or the studio moments very believable. Dude, when I tell you young Michael in the studio the first time at Motown Records blew me away, I was like, yo, if this is how the rest of the movie is going to go, I'm going to be very happy. Sort of did. But in terms of the performances, man, they were breathtaking at times. I mean, yes, it of course lives and dies with Jaafar Jackson, but wow, did the camera work look good. Antoine Fuqua did a great job directing those scenes. Then you have, of course, the makeup and the costume departments working harmoniously together. Oh my gosh, they did a lot of heavy lifting in this movie, okay? When it comes to Michael Jackson, of course, getting his nose job, and then when it comes to Colman Domingo playing Joseph Jackson and getting his face correct, like, there were a lot of instances in this movie where I thought, yeah, they're going to get nominated for Oscars. There's no way they don't, because I thought the makeup work was incredible and the costumes were authentic. They looked good, and they made me think, boy, I need to up my fashion game, don't I? And as somebody who listens to a lot of Michael Jackson's music, and growing up I listened to Off the Wall quite a bit, I love the love that they were showing to Off the Wall in this movie. I'm like, man, I know that song. I'm singing along internally, I'm not singing out loud. But this is a movie that really does play well also with an audience, because when everyone collectively hears Thriller, for example, you hear the gasps in the audience. Or when you hear Off the Wall or Got Me Working Day and Night, everyone's like saying the same thing, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. So it is a very nice theatrical experience, especially with a crowd. I do recommend it if you're going to watch it to be in theaters, because I think if you watch it at home, you might start to see the negatives we're about to talk about on a larger scale. It's going to stick out even more. So let's get into the negatives, because for as much as this movie accomplishes some great feats when it deals with the concerts and the live performances, it definitely hits the mark there. But it was everything in between I had questions about. And unfortunately, I feel like there's just a lot of meat left on the bone for this film. There's always a formula, no matter what, to any sort of biopic or even a musical biopic, but this film feels too safe, and it never really presents anything captivating in between the live performances. You're just sort of there, and I felt nothing really at times. There's a huge lull, I would say, from the time where Michael Jackson invites the Bloods and Crips gang members into his dance studio all the way to the Pepsi hair incident. There's a huge gap where I'm like, I don't feel anything. And I think that's the issue with the formula in this movie. And I understand there's a lot of legalities that go behind this film where there were things director Antoine Fuqua couldn't talk about. And of course, the headline that didn't shock me, but maybe the dollar amount did, the fact that they had to spend $15 million on reshoots, if I'm not mistaken, on this film changed the ending completely, which also, of course, changes the second act. You could tell where there were a lot of reshoots, honestly. I mean, some characters show up and you're like, oh, that's Miles Teller. And then he's just not around for a while. And I'm thinking that you would think he'd be a bigger part, at least in a supporting role, but he's just there and gone pretty quickly. So there are a lot of moments that I felt were left on the cutting room floor. And the movie, I think, suffers as a result in the drama department, because I think that this film really fails at letting moments that are heavy emotionally sort of marinate. Whenever there's conflict between Colman, Domingo, and Nia Long, for example, so Joseph Jackson and Katherine Jackson, we don't necessarily sit in those moments. Likewise with Michael Jackson and his father, those moments sort of come and go. Very early on, of course, we see Joseph Jackson beating Michael, and he did that often to all of his sons, and it was not okay, because to the point of like, you're gonna hit him that hard? Like, Like, so I think that this movie sort of holds back, and that's as a result, of course, of the Jackson estate wanting a story to be told a certain way. Now, that was unavoidable, I think, from the start, but I just feel the movie, it really struggles because you got two great actors like Nia Long and Colman Domingo, and there's a lot of untapped potential. Even for me, I think with Jaafar Jackson, there were some instances where I'm like, hey, he's delivering in the drama department, but why didn't we stay in this pocket? It feels like the movie's really rushing to get to the next live performance. That's the issue with the pacing of this movie as well, is that you don't really get a lot to chew on in between Michael Jackson being on stage. So when he's on stage, it's great, but that didn't erase what we didn't get in the past 20 minutes prior to this concert. And while I know that everything in this movie was not necessarily how it played out, there were some very unbelievable moments that broke a great deal of immersion for me in this film. Now, listen, I'm not going to pretend to be a historian on Michael Jackson's life, but I have a very hard time believing that if he brings members of gangs, rival gangs together in LA, especially with the Bloods and the Crips, in a dance studio, do we think, realistically, they're going to have a dance battle? No, they're probably going to exchange unpleasant words and maybe fight each other, because there's a moment where Michael Jackson is in his studio, turns on the news, and it says gang violence erupts in LA, Bloods and Crips members killing each other, fighting each other, making each other's lives terrible. And then Michael Jackson brings those members into a dance studio, and they're just having a dance off. I don't think that is very realistic to me. There must have been more to that they just didn't want to show. So I don't know. For me, that was a moment that turned me off completely. And there are a couple moments that are just very unbelievable in this movie. Again, it's Hollywoodified, if that's even a word. So I came to expect that not everything's going to be very realistic and not everything's going to be super dramatic. But I wasn't really asking for everything to be very dramatic. I was just hoping the drama in this movie, the tension that we feel at times, especially with conversations between Joseph Jackson and then, of course, Katherine Jackson, or Michael and his dad, Michael and his manager even, you would think that maybe they would linger in the tension a little bit longer, but they just felt very adverse and allergic to tension in this movie. And I think it hurts the final product. And the question I had coming into this was, how much are they not showing in this movie to then leave room for a part 2? And I know I joked about it in my out of theater reaction, where I was like, maybe if they make a part 2, they'll call it Jackson, so Michael Jackson. But guys, I don't think I'm too far off here, because I'm not going to say what the end title card says just to give you guys the chance to see it for yourself. But I will say, there's something that we see at the very end of this movie, a title card, that suggests to me that we're going to get a part 2. And if they don't give us a part 2, I think it's as a result of them not being able to legally, and then the Michael Jackson estate, or the Jackson estate, excuse me, saying, no, we're not diving into this. So overall, you guys, Michael is a film that excels in the areas in which it will please a general audience, and even me too. I like the concert moments. I like the in-studio recording sessions. I love Jaafar Jackson in this movie as Michael. There are performances here that are, for me, very good, if not great. And I do think the common opinion is going to be Jaafar Jackson is amazing, and he is, honestly. But I do feel like Giuliano, the way he performed as young Michael, was just the best performance in the film. So it's a good thing to have 2 great performances in a movie. What doesn't work so well in Michael is the fact that they not only played it too safe, but the formulaic approach to the film gives us a lack of tension and drama in moments in which the movie's telling us this is dramatic, but it's not really showing us that. It should have spent more time in those moments, and I do think that everything in between the live performances are like teetering from just meh to bad. And I really was hoping for a little bit more there, to be completely honest with you. Now, does that mean the movie's terrible? No, and as a Michael Jackson fan, I found myself enjoying a lot of this movie. I just didn't really love the film, and I can't say as an overall film, it's great. If you're coming to this looking for those sing-along moments, you're going to love this film. If you're a diehard Michael Jackson fan, this will serve you some justice, because this is really championing his life and celebrating him. For me, as somebody who's viewing this in the lens of a film, it's okay. You know, it's a 3.5 out of 5 for me. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And if they do make a part 2, I actually am maybe afraid of how they'll do it, because the second half of Michael Jackson's life is tumultuous. You know, it's not great. He was vilified by the media. He went through some intense legal trouble and trials, and they just were allegedly not allowed to talk about that in this movie. So how do you make a part 2 about that? So I'm curious to see the reception for this film, and if it does lead Lionsgate to then making a part 2. But undoubtedly, Michael will make noise and ripples at the box office. I do think it makes the $1 billion mark or more worldwide. He is still very loved, and this really did make me understand a little bit more about Michael Jackson's life, and I appreciated that a lot. So Michael is a film that will please fans. It will probably please those who are looking for just a way to see him live, sort of, right? But Jaafar Jackson does a great job embodying his uncle. And yeah, I think if not for Jaafar Jackson, this movie would probably fall flat on its face. So huge props to him and the cast involved. So yeah, this movie I would say is fine, but it didn't blow me away. And that's largely due to some of the way the script handles those dramatic moments and the way that they sort of weave in and out of the drama. So there you have it, you guys. That's my real review of Michael. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and if you did, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and like this video. Get loud in the comments below. Let me know, do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? And let me know why you disagree, right? Because I'm sure there are people who are going to say, James, I love this movie, you're wrong. Okay, but tell me why. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, there you have it. That's my real review. I'm going to go and practice my moonwalk. I can probably do it on my floors, but you best believe I'm not going to my local movie theater and trying it on those carpets. Seriously, props to that dude. How did he do it? Alrighty, y'all. God bless y'all. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Alright, nice. Siri, play Off the Wall. Okay? Yeah, do that.